It's official. We are live. Hi, Todd. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, how you doing, Anna?
I'm so we already skipped. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you before live. So sorry about that, everyone. But yeah, I'm truly excited. I was telling Thomas and Kyle, and I mean it. We only invited people on the podcast that we are certain are going to bring a lot of value to you guys, because everyone is so busy. And when you guys take the time to listen to anything or watch anything on any social channel, I know we want to make sure it's something valuable. So, with every podcast, we do our best to make sure it's filled with knowledge. And I know these two guys, I personally am a fan. They've been doing this for longer than I have. So big fan over here. I'm so excited to have you guys. And just let's pretend there are a few people that don't know who you guys are. If you do like a quick introduction and tell us about you guys, that would be awesome.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Do you want me to kick off, Kyle?
Yeah. Age before beauty, right? No.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Thomas McMahon, as you can tell by my little name in the screen here, but I've been doing digital marketing since about 2012 when I was out of college doing like SEO work and things like that. Moved to ClickBank about 5 years ago as an account manager. We got to work with the platinum level affiliates and media buyers and like the BizOp, IM vendors and sellers, and then moved into a biz dev role a few years ago over here to help onboard upcoming offers and affiliates to get scaled on the platform, things like that. And it's just been a rocket. So I've been very fortunate to be at ClickBank. They treat me very well, and it's been a blast to work with people like Kyle most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. It's when we're doing work, it's fine. When I tell them about this recent like true crime podcast or a thing I heard about a cult. Yeah. That's when he's like, not so much. So, so I'll jump in next. So my name's Kyle Kostechka, which isn't as intuitive as Thomas's name when you see it down at the bottom. It takes a little bit more. It's nightmares for substitute teachers for sure. So I've been in digital marketing. It'll be 4 years coming up here soon. And I kind of fell into it on accident. So I actually came from an accounting background. And I didn't really know what ClickBank did when I got a job there. And I started as an account manager. And I'll be honest, I didn't like it at first. At first, I was like, this is everything I hated about life. And we made fun of an accounting school. So, but then once I really got into it, I realized it was kind of a match made in heaven, and worked with pretty much every vertical while I was there, and ending with the top clients in the health and fitness side. And then even went and worked for one of the top clients for a year as a director of marketing. And just recently came back, and it's been fantastic. So get to work with Thomas again, which is great. And yeah, ClickBank is family to me. So love all the people there, and love the opportunity to talk to a bunch of online marketers and help their businesses grow. Which we get to do today. Yay.
I know. Guys, so we'll dive in a lot of the, the specifics, because, there are a few things that we're going to go through, and I'll let Thomas and Kyle their opinion. But as you guys can see, these brilliant guys actually work, and if not now, they did at one point with people like you guys that are thinking about becoming product owner. And you guys know Maxo works super closely with ClickBank in the sense that we love a lot of the products. That's why when you go to the campaign page, you're going to see we have a lot of products, because some of the product owners need payment processing, and we'll go through that as well. Why it's important to have payment processing, because if you're just getting started, you're thinking, well, I'll go to the bank and I'll figure out the mids. Why would I need ClickBank, right? Why would I need a payment processing company? So we'll get to that in a moment. I just wanted to make a very short parallel that, these guys are actually connecting with people like you guys. It's not just me that have the pleasure of dealing with affiliates like you guys every day. I'm excited to see how many people are live. Like I'm looking at some of the names, and it's so early for some of you guys and so late. Like I don't know, I think it's like 12, the midnight. For Davish, it's like early because he's on the Pacific. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. It's so awesome to have you live. And let's dig into it. We'll go through the do's and don'ts. So let's pretend it's a slate. I'm an affiliate. I'm doing fairly well, right? We don't want to discriminate. It can be an affiliate that's doing $50K a day, an affiliate doing, $500 a day, it's still a great affiliate because that means he doesn't have to work a 9-to-5 job. And he's thinking, okay, I really want to create my product because the grass is always greener. We do all the work as affiliates. I mean, product owners just create a product out there and so easy, right? We do all the work. We create the ads. We have to bring in the emails. So I want to become a product owner. You guys, what do you think? 3 things that I should be doing tomorrow. Let's start with that.
3 things. Well, I'll go first. I think the first thing you should do before you jump into that is define why you're doing it. So grass is always greener, but oftentimes people jump into, hey, I want to be an offer owner. And the reasons don't line up with reality very well. And they kind of get woken up by the harsh reality that, like you said, hey, I'm doing all the work. Well, you're doing one portion of an offer owner's business, right? They have so many other things they have to worry about after they acquire a customer, which also takes a lot of work to get to the point that they could even have an offer that a customer wants to buy. And then what do you do after they buy it? So I just always think one of the biggest things is identify what's your goal, what are you hoping for? If it's marginal revenue or do you want to have more money out of it? Well, what's the plan for more money? Is it just selling an objective product? Like what does that really look like? And start defining and mapping that out. I think sometimes people might find that it's not right for them when they do that phase, or at least they know what kind of offer owner they're going to be, which is a key component for success. And we'll go and delve in that a little bit later, why so. But that's one reason I think I would just stop, pause, and clearly define what your goal is before you jump into it. What's one that you have, Thomas?
Yeah, just to reiterate, like if it's a pure margin, like, oh, I want to get because the vendor owner gets all the money, I only get this portion of the commission. You're probably getting most of the profit margin as the affiliate, right? For a lot of the scaled offers that we all know and love, right? They're giving away, if not all of the profit margin, or even they might even be going negative to acquire the customer after they pay you, right? So it's what I would recommend doing first, right, is really fleshing out what is the offer that you're actually going to promote, right? As an affiliate, build. As an affiliate, you have a plethora of options, right? You're spoiled with options and offers you can promote. You can test one the next day, try another one the next day, and it's a cornucopia out there of top offers, and you just go by rankings, you can go by what Anna's giving you, by what we're giving you, right? When you build an offer, you've got the offer, right? And obviously you can have different hooks and angles to kind of split it, but to actually build it out and get it off the ground, you've got all your eggs in essentially one basket at that point, right? To kind of get affiliates to promote it, and they've got a ton of offers out there too. Right. So it's really driving home what's going to be that unique hook for that offer and kind of what is that selling point. So if you want to start now, right, it's probably going through your top offers you've promoted as an affiliate, seeing what's converted really well, understanding why it's converted really well to your traffic and what type of traffic it's converting with, and really just fleshing out, okay, we're going to target this kind of demographic, this kind of offer, and this niche. These are what I can expect to do, and really start backing into that even before you start the copy, right? You should have a good idea of what the offer is before you start looking to hire a copywriter, which in my opinion might be the next step at that point, right? Is kind of fleshing out the actual copy and what that actual offer is. Would you two agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree. Once you and one of the things I just want to mention too, when you're going and evaluating, hey, is this all right? Look, here's the offers I'm promoting. Is this kind of what I want to do? It's really important to look at the competition in the offer space that you're looking at. So, for example, if you want to do a weight loss offer, weight loss supplement, right now the competition for that is pretty large. There's a lot of offers in that space. And just know that means that you're going to have that much better of an offer. You're going to have people constantly competing against you and some of the biggest tenured marketers out there. So that kind of gauges, all right, in terms of an investment standpoint, and time and money and resources, I'm probably going to have to put in more into that because it's highly competitive. As well as the other thing I was thinking evaluate is look at the success rate of the offers. How long do they last in that space? How long are you seeing offers hanging around for? How often are there whales of offers that show up? If it's once in a blue moon, I'm not a fan. This is probably my accounting nature. I'm not a fan of betting on blue moons. I'd rather go on something that feels stable and having hope for that kind of scale. And then I'm just going to put my one plug. If you're looking to create an offer, make it a survival offer. That's a good one to choose right now. I would do that. So, but yeah, the next is hiring a copywriter, or I shouldn't say hiring, it's getting the copyright. So you might feel like you could jump in and write your own copy. I would strongly recommend getting some sort of course or process or training if you haven't already, or if you want to accelerate the process, kind of, reduce your lumps. You could go into hiring a copywriter, which, you really have to figure out what your budget's going to be, which is that, I tell it this way, there's always a risk with hiring a copywriter. How much you spend mitigates that risk is all that happens. It's going to be smaller, but it's never 100% guarantee if you're hiring and spending $50K for a top copywriter versus spending $2,000 for a junior copywriter. You might actually still get just as good a copy from the junior copywriter, but that is a much less likely scenario. But yeah, really important. And I'd actually even say I'd recommend, regardless if you hire or do it yourself, go through a copy training course, just so you can chief and understand if your copy's good or not. That's where a lot of people get burned, is they don't really know if their copy's good. And so it's hard to understand.
Right. Writing top of funnel ad copy and things like that, and email swipe copy ends up being a lot different than writing, a full offer copy, right, from a VSL or long form sales lander page. It's a very different skill set.
Yeah. And that's why it's much more formulaic, I think, than you could get really creative with email swipes and top of the funnel ads. But when you get into long form copy, it's pretty formulaic. It's more of a structure and a talent than just a talent. So
you guys covered so much. So if you don't mind, I want to take some of the pieces and unfold those a little bit, because Thomas, you said something that actually it's super important. A lot of the product owners will give the affiliates most of their front end, if not all of it, right? So this is such an important one, and I'll let you guys, I would love to hear your opinion, but I see so many affiliates that are so used to getting high CPAs, they think it's normal, it's okay, but they don't realize the work that goes in the back end to afford the high CPA. So let's take a supplement. It's $69. You are getting $100, right? Or 80, 90. Anyway, let's just assume it's higher than how much a bottle costs, right? So the product owners, they have maybe an email list, right? Or they have media buyers on the back end that send email to customers. So they afford to give you the high front end. Even if you run on RevShare, you're used to getting 100%, which means on the front end, the affiliate gets all the money. That means you have to have really good upsells, right? So I've seen it at least twice or three times now, only in the last 8 months, when affiliates that became product owners started with a CPA that was too high. Even RevShare, this goes hand in hand. You guys know we only do CPA, but we don't want you to lose money, because if you're going to be losing money, the Tom and Kyle on the processing side, they're not going to make money. We're not going to make money on the CPA, so we don't want you guys to lose money, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if you have any war stories with people giving payouts that were too high, too quick, without assessing the average order value correctly.
Yeah, so I think I was chatting with a good friend of all of ours a few years ago at TNC before he was one of the bigger players in the space kind of thing. And he was asking me at a party, like, hey, I think I can pay a $90 CPA and get a bunch more affiliates, right? And I asked him, like, okay, well, what's your lifetime value right now? He's like, I don't know. Right. I was like, well, like, I know what your average order value is. If you're paying a $90 CPA, right, like, you're going to be in the hole on every sale. Like, can you make that back in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be? And can you float that spend? He's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Right. And it's that, and people don't, right? If they're not used to it. So it's that kind of good point. And like you said, right, we've seen, obviously ClickBank's a RevShare versus a CPA platform. And what's happening is people basically back into a CPA net refunds, for their percentages. So you might have $150 or $200 average order value for these supplements, and they're probably giving on average 65% away to the affiliate, sometimes higher for certain affiliates, sometimes lower. So you're getting these really good payouts to affiliates on these average order values. And yeah, the margins are razor thin, right? I know affiliates margins are thin too, because Facebook's the real one making all the money here, right? But yeah,
damn you, Zuckerberg.
But it's a whole different game, especially with physical goods, when you have to handle COGS and the cost of goods, the supply chain of things coming in, fulfillment costs, right? Customer support goes up the, that can start to climb up. So there's a lot more complexity to an offer business than an affiliate business, just from an operations standpoint, right? So it's not even, sometimes the margins look good on paper, and then scale starts to happen and things start to break down, and you kind of have to almost like hurry just to plug the holes a bit, just to kind of keep the boat afloat. And the ones that do are the ones we've seen stick around for a year plus as an offer versus kind of spiking. And where'd that offer go? That did great, right?
Yeah. It really comes down to an operational mastery that you have to have as an offer owner. One thing to dial back, I think it's always important to know too, is when I thought about like, hey, what's the difference between an affiliate versus like an offer owner? And on the front end, like affiliates are out to acquire commissions, and offer owners are out to acquire customers, because when they have the customers, that's a long-term asset. And it's an asset that quickly turns into cash, which the problem that Thomas is describing is a revenue problem, right? You're chasing revenue, not cash. And people don't realize that it sounds stupid that people don't realize this, but cash is really the health of a company. If you don't have cash, you can't do anything else. Revenue is meaningless without cash in hand. So it's just really important to understand that when you collect that asset, you need to know how to pull the money and cash out of it, how long it's going to take you, how much you're going to get of it, and how much it's going to cost you to get all that stuff. So that's a lot of operational things you have to worry about. And then you probably are going to have to start hiring staff as you scale. Now you have whole new things to worry about and deal with. And obviously there's a lot of things that we talk with clients about to make that process and jump easier. And in the end of the game, you can have a very stable, successful business when you understand that. But it is a lot more than just creating an offer to be successful. And that being said, creating offers is a lot of work in itself. So, one thing I'd always say is as an affiliate, one of the great things of affiliates to offer owners is you have one of the biggest and most hardest challenges already solved, which is traffic. So take that traffic, test your offer, make sure you know all your numbers so you don't get in a situation like you guys both described, where you understand, okay, this is what my AOV is for this traffic source. Here's the performance I'm getting. This is what I can offer affiliates. And this is also how I can monetize that afterwards. So I can know what my float with cash is going to be, how much cash on average I'm going to get in. And now you can really start to build an offer and a business after that.
100%. I love it. So next, I would love for us to chat for a few minutes about content, which means, the copyright piece, and then would love to go into the processing. So we have seen offers that do well when the product owners himself, like it happened with Lexapure, for example, they wrote the copy of the offer and it was great and it was, successful. But that's an exception from what I've seen, at least. Usually, it's a special set of skills to be a good copywriter, and especially a good copywriter that will write a good VSL or even a good TSL if you're not ready to start with the video yet, right? So it's very, very important, and I would love to hear you guys if you agree or not. It's important for you to decide if you think you're good enough to write the copy, or you should be investing into a good copywriter. And we have some brilliant ones in the space. And from my experience, when I've seen people invest in good copywriters, it really pays off, right? We're talking about good copywriters they have proven track records, not someone on Fiverr that's going to charge you money and they don't even know what performance marketing is, right? So I'm curious, what are you guys seeing? Because for me, when I see people actually invest in a copywriter, it pays off in the long term.
Yeah, I've actually seen kind of a mix, but I will tell you, because the flip side is like you could hire a copywriter and it goes poorly, right? Like it's not like hiring a copywriter guarantees you success. I think though the speed to success is quite a bit different. If you're going to try and teach yourself copywriting, I would anticipate you should spend quite a bit of time mapping out offers, going through courses, testing copy, writing your own sales page or script over and over and over again, getting into a place where people can review it. So you're just going to take a lot more time with that. That being said, if you learn and teach yourself to write copy well, and you have a passion and a desire to write copy, you're going to be really well positioned for your offer into the future, because you're not going to be dependent on hiring a copywriter. You could still do it to maybe beat your control and sharpen iron. And I mean, even like the top investing companies hire outside firms, or top advertising companies hire outside firms to kind of push and drive their internal teams. So it's always smart to do. But when you have that skill set, your ability to generate new offers, tweak and optimize your current offer is going to be substantially better than somebody that doesn't have any of that copywriting experience. That being said, if you don't like it, you don't have a passion for it, you don't have a talent for it, it doesn't matter how much you try to do it, it's probably still going to suck. So a lot of that, you have to do some self-reflection. But then at the same time, if you're going to hire copywriters, you need to understand that your skill set should lie in your ability to, copy chief, manage, set clear expectations, performance metrics, communicate really, really well. That's going to really ensure your success. The people that do well with hiring copywriters are great communicators on the product, what they want from them, what their general idea is, and then also reading the copy and being able to push back when it's not what they want. I've seen a lot of people think they wrote the check, the copy's good, and it comes back, and I'm like, did you read the sales page? It is trash. Like, you got to be able to push back and know that something's bad, and set your standard. So I think it's just one of those things that it really depends. Sorry, I'm fidgeting with a little kid toy. But it really depends on where you think your skill set lies. And yeah, there you go. And if you don't know,
everywhere.
right? If you don't know, I would say ask. If you feel like you can't answer internally, ask your closest friends, coworkers, mentors, whoever, what they think you would be better at before going to that decision. Because it's a big one. I would argue it's going to make or break your offer more than anything else will, is that first decision with either if I'm going to write the copy or if I'm going to hire somebody. Any thoughts there, Thomas?
No, I think you nailed it. Right, it's an allocation of resources. Do you want to spend more time learning how to write it yourself, which is not a bad skill set to have by any means. It's probably, like I said, the most important skill set to have. Or do you want to pay someone to get you there faster? Right. Like we saw with Emily Lark, she's got a great story of having all these VSLs printed out on her floor, highlighting parts of them to understand, right? And it's like, and it took her years to get her offer off the ground, right? But I've also seen it take years when someone's trying to hire copywriters and they keep mishiring and misfiring on ideas, and and they're just spending, instead of spending the actual time to do it, they're just spending money to have someone do it. That still took year and a half to 2 years to get a actually working offer off the ground. So there's no proven best way to do it by any means. I hear what Kyle said, and stick with what you want to do and what you want to hire out for, then go tackle it.
I think it's brilliant that Thomas underlined exactly what I wanted to underline from what Kyle said, that it is possible. However, a big however is to put in a lot of work. And I actually wanted to offer Emily as an example, because she was here talking to some of our Maxwell friends before, and this is exactly what she shared. How many months she spent on learning and really getting into, okay, what is a good VSL? Should I be watching VSLs all day if I want to create one? Yes, so it's possible, but you really need to prepare to put in a lot of work. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that too.
Yeah, I will just couch too. Like, I think a lot of us are talking about top offers, right? If you want to make like a top scaled offer, that's a 7-8 figure offer kind of thing, which everyone wants to do. But right, there's lots of offers that do very well, underneath that realm that, are great long-term steady Eddie offers, right? That make, 5 figures a month, 6 figures a year, multiple 6 figures a year kind of thing, that are still platinum level or whatever other awards that people give out, right? So it's, and I think in that realm, we have more room to play, right? If we're not talking absolute best and talking rest of the field, but still lucrative. there's a lot of ways you can cut your teeth, and then your 10th offer you roll out might be the big 8-figure one, right? Because it's kind of that iteration step. But.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Thomas. I've seen that time and time again. I think lots of the clients we talk to that are the OGs or massive clients now, they started with like simple digital offers that maybe made 5 figures in a year. And then they got to 6, and then you get to 7 and 8. And it could be a slow climb. But the other thing too is those offers could be repurposed. You could, optimize. The assets don't necessarily go away, which is one really nice thing about the offer owner side is the collection of assets that you could build over time. But I do think with that, it's always good to have a really long-term mindset when you're going to an offer creation. It could be a bit more of a journey sometimes in the affiliate side of things.
Absolutely. I was going through my notes because I didn't want to forget. I wrote down before we started, I was like, okay, so there are a few things that I really want to ask you guys. So besides the copyright, which was, we are, that's important. I mean, if you're serious about this, the copyright. But I really want to spend some time chatting with people about processing. Because as an affiliate, you don't really think about it, right? You're thinking, okay, well, I'll go to MaxWeb and get processing. And you can. I mean, we do a lot. We're great, right? As an example, we'll help you if you're an affiliate. You can sign in and have access to offers, but we won't be able to help you with processing, right? So then the next idea was, well, can I get processing? I'm in the US, right? I can figure out that our company. Many times the answer is yes, you can. However, it's a lot of risk because in performance marketing, a lot of our offers have strong statements, even if it's weight loss or health. Performance marketing, I always think about it as aggressive, right? We're aggressive. We're very nice with the customers in the back end. I mean, if anyone calls, we'll refund. However, a lot of the offers in our space are very aggressive. That's how we build the front end and the videos and whatnot. So processing is important because it's going to help affiliates not have that huge risk. But also what I've seen, and I'll let you guys tell me more about your stories. I have seen affiliates that started, actually invested in the copyright. 8 months later, they had a decent offer, getting steadily 50, 70, 100 sales every day on a constant rate, which is good. And then what? They did not plan for enough processing. So they got a call from their processor saying, well, why are you selling so much through this mid? Your agreement is, X sales a month. You are doing way too much. You can't do that. We're going to close your mids down, which means you can't sell anything. So processing is very important. I mean, you can do it on your own if you have the knowledge and experience, but when you go to a platform that can help you do payment processing, they already know how to do that, right? You have a relationship with the banks, and Thomas and Kyle, you guys can speak more on the processing side. And I'm sure you have friends in our space that do both, right? They'll have the offer on ClickBank, but they'll also do some processing on the side. But these guys have been playing this game for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, what you're kind of highlighting there is basically anything direct response is going to be regarded as high risk merchant processing, right? To any of the mids or kind of things out there. So, a common mistake we see is people get launched on Stripe, for example. It's easy, it plugs in, it's cheap, relatively, and it rolls out pretty quickly. The issue is that Stripe is going to regard almost any direct response marketing campaign as high risk. And there's a lot of nightmare stories out there of, scale hits, like Anna's saying, and then merchant processing gets locked up, right? And they stop it and they hold money. I've heard of rebills getting canceled, right? Like, 6 figures in monthly recurring rebills going, and they'll just lock it up, right? Because they don't necessarily know what you're selling. And, unless you're a very large company doing 8, 9 figures, right? You don't matter to them as much, right? So they're not going to take the time to really vet it. They're just going to cancel it. And that's the thing. It's kind of like web hosting. It's not a problem until you don't have it. And that's where, and that's where affiliates can get upset too, right? You probably don't even think about processing as an affiliate until you hit a CPA cap, right? And it's like, oh, we hit our cap on this because they're mid balancing, right? And that's where I think Kyle and I would both agree, and probably Anna too, right? It's like, if you're new to the offer space, make it as simple as possible on the operations front so you don't have to think about it, right? And that it just works, right? And that's where things like, to plug ClickBank, right? We had a vendor the last 2 days, a single offer did over $1 million in sales per day, right? On Sunday and Monday. Unless you have an amazing long-term relationship with your banks or mids, you're not going to be able to do that. Right? You're going to have that spread out across a dozen different mids, right? Maybe even more, to kind of like help balance that and trickle that, which is a nightmare. So it's like, yeah, so I would just say, like, use something that works and is simple and is trusted. And then, if you want to diversify later, it's a lot easier to layer things in at that point than be scrambling because your hair's on fire and you have to all of a sudden find new mids or find new processing and move the offer around different places.
Yeah. And even having that like back channel of stability, because, we've heard time and time again, even from established marketers, as they diversify, running into so many processing issues. You never really know how a bank is going to behave. When you're not, as Thomas said, big enough for them to really care. You're kind of just a number on a spreadsheet somewhere that someone's probably algorithmically going to handle and take care of. So that creates a huge weak spot in your business. So yeah, finding something early on when you pick that stable source that is going to take all those headaches away allows you to focus on the parts that really, really matter. Recruiting affiliates, creating an optimized offer, the marketing side, which is hard enough that you don't want to necessarily add in all those additional things. And I'd tell you too, a lot of the benefits of having your own mids come at scale anyway. So you're really, there's a time and a place for that. Let yourself get there before you worry about it and find someone that can do it for you.
Yeah. I was chatting with Cody Bramlett, right? And he was, he's like, gosh, I wish I would have just not been distracted by mids early on, right? He's like, I probably spent as much money trying to problem solve, lower rate in mids than I did actually getting lower rate.
Yeah.
And we've heard it, and I know you guys heard it. I know I've heard it a lot, and I'll just share an example, right? We don't know how the processing is. Let's pretend you are going to ClickBank or any other payment processing that you're used to working, and you're like, okay, I want to get my offer on, and your account manager is going to say, not a problem. So we'll keep 10% from. And as soon as they hear the numbers, right, it can be 10%, 7%, 5%, whatever. It's just examples. I'm not sure how the pricing is. But they're like, well, on Stripe, I can get 2%, right? And many times they don't get it because what the payment processing platforms offer, it's the risk, the relationships. They have chargeback mitigation processes in place. They have a brilliant customer service team that's going to answer the calls of your customers. Great account managers that can help your affiliates when you cannot. So it's a lot that goes behind it. So we're not trying to say it's impossible. Don't even try getting your own processing. Not at all. It would be brilliant to try both if you can, especially if you're in the US and you can do it. Try both, right? Have the offer on one of the payment processing platforms and then try to do it on your own too. But what I can tell you from my experience, from the affiliate perspective, it's the most frustrating thing in the world, and we get frustrated. And here at MaxWeb, we are usually very happy and very, kind people. When an offer owner says, well, I have a cap, sorry guys, you cannot send any more traffic.
Yeah.
So we just spent 2 months telling all our beautiful partners, like, you guys listening in, this is a good offer, it's converting well, which is true, it's great. We got you all the resources, all the links, you're sending traffic. And then to come and hear that from the product owner, like, sorry, you have to pause, it's the absolute worst. And let me tell you guys, when you pause an offer, many affiliates are not going to come back. I honestly, I'm very hesitant. When a product owner doesn't have their processing in place, I'm very hesitant to take them back on as a client, right? And I know we're live and I shouldn't say anything that would I mean, you're here because you want to hear the real deal, and this is it. I personally, when a product owner doesn't have their processing in place and they make us work for the traffic, we do a good job of getting the good affiliates on, and they tell us, sorry, we have issues with our caps, we're not happy, right? So Thomas said something very important earlier, and I would love to pick an example of an offer that has the processing on ClickBank that you guys love on MaxWeb, and that's Flat Belly Tonic.
Yeah.
You guys know that offer is doing so well. You guys love it. I love it every day when I look at the numbers of how well you guys are doing. I'm so happy. So I'm happy. Thomas is happy. Kyle is happy. And we know we're not going to get that call that says, sorry, you guys cannot push the offer anymore. Close your Facebook accounts, close your Google accounts. So that's a beautiful example where, I actually had the question, right, from affiliates doing so well on that offer, like, is it okay? Can I push more? And I'm like, sure. So it's the reality. It's important. We're not trying to sell you on anything. We're just being honest about what we are seeing in our, everyday lives on our full-filled Skype of messages, and it's processing. It's very important. So just be careful and ask questions. I mean, a lot of people like us here in the space, we always help each other because we know in our industry, actually, we all make more money when we help each other, right? Because we move the customers to specific offers, different lists. So we all end up making more money when we work together. So truly, we're just giving you advice on what we are seeing. All right, so you got it. I'll stop speaking. Processing is important.
You're exactly right. Yeah,
yeah. Well, you really hit on a big one too, is reputation, and I think that's a big one, especially for an offer owner, is having a good reputation with your affiliates, making sure they get paid on time, and they don't have a bunch of issues with running your offer at scale. And which doesn't just have to be processing; it could also be, and this is a nice transition, customer support. If you have some issues there and returns and chargebacks and things like that start spiking, and all of a sudden you can't offer the same CPA, or your rev share starts getting hit. Those are all things that really hurt your reputation, hurt your business in the long run.
Absolutely. That's actually the next thing on our list: fulfillment and customer service. So if you're thinking about creating a supplement, which I know is the hype and it's what's working right now, you're going to have to think about fulfillment and customer service. So I'll let you guys educate everyone a bit on why good fulfillment and good customer service is important.
Yeah, gosh, it's going back to that bottom line, number of your cash flow. It's like, if your refunds are just spiking, right, you're going to be hemorrhaging cash, especially if you're paying CPA, right, because you're not getting that back on rev share. And then, gosh, and it can just become such a nightmare, especially when we're talking about mid-balancing or your rates, right? If your refund rates bleed into high chargeback rates, which bleed into high friendly fraud rates, that's when things can start to get gammed up. Wow, I keep doing that. Jumped up really quick, right?
I like jumped up.
Yeah, jumped up really quick.
Jumped up.
Well, for me, it's easy. I can always blame it on, I wasn't born in the U.S. So.
I don't have an excuse. Yeah, just.
Thomas, you're from Northern Idaho. Most people assume that you don't learn to read until you're like sixth grade, something like that.
Learned it up the creek. Yeah, it's a. But no, so it's like customer service, in my opinion, outside of everything else we've covered, right, is one of the first things to break, especially for new offer owners when scale starts to happen. Usually they don't have anything in place for it. They're kind of catching up. And it's like they'll be, gosh, how many stories have we all heard about, oh my gosh, my wife and I were up till 4 a.m. answering customer service tickets, right? Because there's no one else to do it. They didn't plan for it, right?
Yeah. Which is what every offerer wants to do, is just answer customer service tickets. Like,
right? I was sitting there stuffing envelopes all night.
Think about it. A lot of the product owners love to have their face on the offer. So you're going to get Facebook messages, Instagram. I know Todd Lamb, how he got so many messages on Facebook when he started years and years ago. And to answer to everything on his own. He still does a lot of it, which, were amazing, but it's true. And same goes with fulfillment. I would love to add that. If you're starting your fulfillment in your garage, you're going to have the same thing happen. How are you going to scale? Or you're just going to work 24/7?
Yeah, no, you really need to have that lined up ahead of time, especially if you know you're working with some affiliates that, if it goes well, will send more traffic, right? Because we're all, I think almost everyone in this space is very good at offense, right? We're very good at making better offers, optimizing conversion, sending more traffic when it's going well. There's very few people that are good at the defensive part, actually having backup plans in place if mids or hosting go down, having backup plans in place if customer service scales, right? If fulfillment issues scale. So it's kind of having those conversations. And understanding that, yes, there's costs involved with that, right? But it is part of a healthy long-term business, not a one that's going to crumble in 6 months because you didn't have those things in place and everything's not kind of on fire. I guess, Kyle, do you have I think you've got more one-on-one experience with this, right? When things are going well, what do you think they need to have in place, from say day 1 to 60 of a scaling offer with customer service?
Yeah, I mean, customer service, just being able to, you want to be able to have a process where you could unlimitedly scale. So quickly be able to hire and bring on more people. And one of the biggest things with all of this is a term that I don't think is often used in the affiliate space when you're first starting up, which is SOPs. You have to have standard operating procedures for every piece of your business so it could scale without issue. So when you need to change manufacturing, or if you need to create new products, or with customer service, they're able to answer questions and do it quickly. And I could plug another person in there. And it's just kind of push a button almost to bring somebody in. And so that's a key component to make sure you can handle those swaths of sales, or a promotion that all of a sudden brings in an influx of sales and questions that you're flooded with. But, being able to kind of have those SOPs in place could really save your butt. And it's a huge piece of that.
Question for both of you, in your opinion, is that something you start with outsourcing with an offshore kind of agency who can handle it for you? Is it something you try to do internally? How do you like to approach that or advise on that? I've got my opinion, but
yeah, I think you should. I think three approaches that I would do. I think one, before you outsource, understand some key component, or at least have some general working knowledge of what you're outsourcing. It's going to make you hire and select people way better and evaluate performance way better. If you don't have that in place, if you don't know anything about what you're outsourcing, you're just putting yourself in a position to be taken advantage of. So don't do that. So that's always your first step. But then definitely outsource, because if it's not your realm of expertise, you don't know how to do it, you just need it done, and you need it done well. Outsourcing could do that for you. They could do it at a fraction of the cost. And they could normally scale with you, if not unlimitedly, for a significant amount of time, so you don't have to worry about those headaches. And then when you're ready with a strategic plan, start bringing that stuff in-house, because if there is a point where outsourcing at scale gets too expensive, and bringing it in-house will improve the quality and lower your cost. But that needs to be kind of a slower, hey, let's bring this in as we go. We kind of know what we need. We have those SOPs built out in place now. And potentially have somebody that's going to run that side of things.
Do you like a blended approach there, where it's a mix of internal and outsource? I guess it depends on scale, maybe. But
I think it depends. For me personally, it depends on what the function is. So I think customer support, ideally, if you can, bring that all in house at scale when you're big enough, because a contracted agency doing customer support, you're not going to have dedicated care. You're going to have a rep that still has several different companies they're working with, which means they just can't get to that level of really complex, customized care that you might want. It's harder to pivot, all those things, right? But when you bring it in-house, you're going to have a lot more, I'd say, leeway and ability. But, knowing you have those relationships established, if you ever just need more, because as you brought up the example, Tyrese, quotes about your numerology quiz that you need to take, and your offer explodes in a way that you didn't even plan on. Right. You still have those relationships with agencies to bring people on fast, and then obviously replace over time. So that's a key component. I do think, though, on the flip side, if you're doing media buying, copywriting, even sometimes just marketing, bringing in outside help like strategists, agencies. I know this is like way beyond what we're talking about before, but I think that's super big. And a lot of that's from my experience actually in the accounting and finance world. So Fortune 500 companies, like these, they manage billions of dollars in fixed income assets, right? They have in-house teams. They also constantly hire outside firms to try different strategies and elevate their own teams up. So there's definitely a realm to go outside and contract. And I think even the biggest companies are still constantly contracting. But it's more contract first, bring it in as you go, in-house, but that's kind of a slower process to do it right.
I love the question, and we have seen this a lot. And my first question to you guys listening or watching this is, how much do you want to work? I mean, if you're okay with doing 22-hour day shifts, you and your spouse and 2 other friends, because you're just getting started, you're already done writing the copy, you're going to have to answer to all your affiliates or the Max Web account managers or Thomas or anyone they need swipes and they need links and they need post backticks all set up. So you're probably the dev person too. You also have to do everything else. It's going to be a bit tough to answer all the calls, reply to all the emails. So if you're just getting started, you really have to be honest with yourself. I know you're a brilliant person. You probably have a high EQ, a high IQ. But it's so much harder than it looks. All of us work a lot. We are used to that, level of like craziness and stress. But if you want to be successful, you need to do things right. And if you're not ready to put in 20 hours days, maybe you love your life and you don't want to die young, right? Definitely look into options. There are so many good options in our industry, specifically for customer service, that can help. Great, people that are doing this all the time. And then I 100% agree with Kyle. Once you have a beautiful offer, you're comfortable, you have your customers, you are going to afford to hire someone to do it in-house. But chances are, from your first month, even your first year, you're not going to hire 2 full-time agents. I mean, that's a lot. That's your money of paying your fees, right? So you have to really decide what you want to do first. So I agree. Outsourcing, especially when you're getting started, it's a beautiful idea. But then when you're growing, of course, you want to have agents that know and love your brand.
Yeah, I don't even know if you even start thinking about bringing stuff in-house until you're in the 8-figure range in annual revenue, honestly, for customer support. So, but yeah, I think that's a great summation, Anna.
Yep, absolutely. So the other thing I had on my list here, which is very important because good affiliates and those are the guys watching. We don't really know how much fraud is in our industry, right? So I had fraud underlined here. Fraud. So what for product owners, this is a big one because you're going to have affiliates that are not as honest and wonderful as you are. There's so many shady ways in getting bad traffic and with, name it. We're going to name the ugly ones: stolen credit cards, bots. You're going to find ways of getting false customers, which means they're going to have a lot of refunds, a lot of chargebacks that are going to hurt your mids. And also, if you're paying CPA, you already paid that to your affiliates, right? So fraud is a big one, and this is important, and we really want you to know when you're moving forward, you have to be very careful who you're going to work with, right? So I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you have, what am I talking about? Why is fraud important to product owners, and why you have to be super careful with the affiliates you work with?
Yeah, I'll start, Kyle, if you like. Fraud is the most important metric, if you will, to like the card brands, right? Visa and MasterCard and like things like that. Like your fraud rate on those is, chargeback rate is super important too, right? Chargeback and fraud, but fraud is the most important. If your fraud rate is getting out of whack, that's one of the fastest things that will get you shut down on like being able to process Visa, for example, or just a mid in general across the board. So handling that is very, and in the area for risk, it's like, is it 1% of 1%? It's like where it's 1% of transactions on Visa, for example, you have to have like less than 1% fraud coming in through. The hard part, like Anna said, is right. There's a lot of real fraud, right? People testing stolen credit cards, kind of things like bots, things like that. The other really hard part to manage is friendly fraud, which is simply I bought a product, and I forgot about it. I'm going through my credit report, and I'm going, I don't remember what this charge was. I'll just charge it back. I'll just tell Visa or MasterCard or American Express, whatever, that I don't know what this charge was. Get rid of it, kind of thing. They count that as friendly fraud, quote unquote. It's not a chargeback. It's not a refund. And it really affects the rates. That's what most of the fraud is, right? Yes, some things can go south and like a bunch of stolen credit cards can come through. Ideally, you're working with something like ClickBank or Maxwell, right, that can help mitigate some of that by using Count on the back end or other fraud mitigation softwares. But the friendly fraud part is one of the hardest things to mitigate. And that's also where customer service can come in, right? If you have proactive customer service and good email ascension after, kind of outreach, which could be through SMS, it could be through email, it could be through customer service calls. If you have good proactive outreach, you can actually get in front of a lot of issues that might have happened and become a chargeback or refund or fraud. And that's what people don't often understand is that you might see something come through as a refund and then all of a sudden it hits as a fraud dollar later, right? Because they're kind of getting reported differently. So one transaction could almost double ding you in a way, right? It could be a chargeback, it could be fraud, it could be refund, it could be fraud, it could be just a sale, and all of a sudden the fraud hits and refund happens later. Like there's lots of ways. Like we have a whole risk team at ClickBank dedicated just to trying to mitigate friendly fraud, right? Because it's the most impactful thing to like the bottom line of our merchant processing gets, right? So.
Yeah, it's the quickest path to like the fraud is one of the biggest risks towards your cash as a business. Your ability to receive cash and take cash from your customers. So, and Tom's definitely right. Like I think the one we spend more time talking about with our clients happens to be with a friendly fraud, but a lot of that is because we've invested so much time, money, and experience in preventing all that front end fraud that you mentioned, like card testing, bad affiliates. We're not even getting into the spam side of things, which is also a form of fraud. So that's where trust really matters, and making sure that either one, you're working with partners that are vetting affiliates. They're making sure that they're tracking when that stuff starts to happen, so they kick off the ones that might have maybe passed their initial vetting, and keeping you getting good quality traffic and working with good quality partners. That could be just such a big challenge early on, is getting the wrong affiliate. And like you said, they could wreck your business because you just jack up a bunch of fraud. The second piece, and Thomas spoke very eloquently on the friendly fraud. The one thing I always like to plug in there is friendly fraud tends to be more of a product delivery issue than a copy issue. So it's entirely back end. So you have your preventative fraud on the front end at the order form, which is software experience, and vetting. And then you have for the friendly fraud, which is really a back-end product delivery process. And a lot of people starting out when they're creating their own offer, they think a lot about getting people to buy. They don't think a lot about what happens after they buy. Like, how am I giving it to them? Do they know what they're getting? Do they feel stupid after what I just gave them? Those are all things that are really going to hurt your fraud numbers.
I will say, I do think the copy comes into play when the product deliverability and experience is not up to par with the copy is promising, right? Because you're overselling at that point, and then your product comes in, it's like, wait, what is this, right? We saw that a lot a few years ago in like the low ticket biz op space, right? It was like these super aggressive compliant claims, but they were aggressive, and the net impression was very little work for a lot of money. Then you get into the back end course, and it's like it's impossible to tell what's going on. There's just a bunch of affiliate links everywhere, right? So it's like the product quality was really low, the promises were really high, and it just almost immediately created issues across the board.
Yeah. So if you're going to make big aggressive claims, you better deliver a big valuable product. Is kind of the way behind it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that was a thing I really wanted to touch base upon today. So we're in the performance marketing space, right? We're going to be aggressive with our claims, but that doesn't mean we don't have to be decent people. And I really believe this. I mean, you'll go on MaxWeb, you'll go on ClickBank, you'll see we have a lot of like super aggressive offers, right? But That doesn't mean you cannot, as a product owner, really offer value to your customers. At least make sure you're present. If someone calls, make sure you pick up the phone and you chat with those customers. Send them emails with free recipes. Just find ways to giving something back to the customers, because we spend money on your product, right? So I fully believe that you, as a product owner in our space, be aggressive with your sales copy. You really want to be decent to your customers, because if you are serious about the brand, it's really the only way it's going to last. And I don't know, one thing that I really want you guys to be careful if you're thinking about creating your own offer, be super careful with your recurring products. Recurring products are a big no-no if you're not really clear, that you're really going to charge.
About the billing terms, yeah.
So my personal expertise, if you're serious about becoming a product owner, be aggressive. You're an affiliate. You're going to create some awesome marketing to have the flash and the colors and whatnot. But try to be decent on the back end.
Yeah, 100%. That's
gosh. Yeah, you really have to deliver what you're going to sell. If you can't even get in that ballpark, you either need to elevate your product or dial back your marketing. One of the two, because if not, you're going to get burned eventually. So especially with continuity, because one thing we didn't say, like if they buy the product once, that's one instance of fraud, chargeback, refunds. If it's a reoccurring subscription, they bought it once, but they paid for it 5 times, that could be 5 instances of friendly fraud, which is going to make your business go kablooey, and it's just so hard to fix.
And the issue there, right, is that it all piles into the month where they issue those chargebacks, or kind of, right? So like if this has been selling since January and it's now April, right, you're going to have 3 or 4 billings land in April against your sales for April, right? So it's like the denominator gets really in a negative against you pretty quickly if that starts to happen on a consistent basis. Yeah,
and trying to fix it is because even what you fix today is you're still paying for the problems from yesterday. So it's really painful.
X plus months just to get out of it. Yeah, it's like
that's all this gray hair in my beard.
It's trying to mitigate
subscription offers.
On mine, so. Well, you're not gonna believe this, but we've been doing this for an hour, 3 minutes short of an hour. I know. I looked up and I was like, oh, we have a good half an hour here, and we have a good 3 minutes left. So, wow, that just means we have to have you guys again. You have to commit live. This way, I know for sure it's settled. So,
okay,
you're coming back, right?
Yeah, I mean,
sure. Yeah.
The commitment is live. I would love for you guys to just share one big takeaway. I mean, from all the podcasts, if someone is tuning in, or they're listening through and going to the end of the podcast to see like the last few minutes, please tell me what should they take away from our chat. Just the big takeaway. I'll let you guys each go ahead first. I don't know, Thomas, Kyle.
I guess I'll go first. That's fine. So, and the big takeaway is one: if you want to go and create your own offer, fantastic. Slow down, find what you want to do, what you can do, and try and outsource the rest. Like really keep your focus narrow when you're because like once you have a product, there are so many more distractions that enter into your world. So just really keep things simple and focused on what you want to do, what you need to do, outsource the rest.
Yeah, for me, it's right. Get really clear on the why you're doing it. I've seen a few different people build out an offer from being an affiliate, and they'll shut down the offer and just go keep doing the affiliate thing at a bigger scale, right? So it's like, just get really clear on why you want to do it, understand the pros and cons. There's a lot of great pros of having your own offer, right? Like we've discussed, it can be a lot longer road to hoe to actually get there than people realize. So it's a trade-off if you want to double down on what you're already good at, or if you want to kind of branch out and diversify and kind of change and shift your business model.
I Love it. Those are great ones. And from my humble opinion, if you're thinking about this, and I probably told you, a lot of you guys this, don't break or change something that is perfect. So you are very good as an affiliate. If you like it and if you enjoy it, right? We're not talking about you hating your life while you do affiliate work. If you actually enjoy it and you make beautiful money out of it, why really think about, being a product owner? So the grass is not always greener. So, it's not that we don't encourage you. We have definitely seen people succeed with the transition. I know you guys have, I have, but just really ask the whys, as Kyle said. That's a big one in my.
For sure.
You guys, do you want to add something else? Now is the time.
I was just gonna say, if you ever want to get a hold of Thomas and I to talk more about offer creation stuff, or you're looking to say, hey, I do need some processing and I want some of that headache taken away for me, reach out to me via social, through Facebook. I don't really do well. I don't. Yeah, Facebook's good. So just Kyle.Kostechka. And then also Skype, just Kyle.Kostechka. Feel free to reach out. We could have a call or answer some questions and see if we can help you out.
I love it. And what we do after the call, we actually have the live is going to be on Facebook as a beautiful video post. So the account managers are actually going to add, if that's okay with you, your Skype or your email, whichever you prefer. So we'll add it and in the comment section on the bottom. So that means everyone that was so wonderful and was present with us today will have a way of contacting you. But then all our friends that are going to listen in later today, they can still find a way to contact you. So if you're okay with that, we'll make sure to add your email to the comment.
Perfect.
I am. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I personally learned a lot from you, as I always do. I appreciate you, and have an awesome day. And now you have to come back to.
We're committed.
Yep.
So
This is great. Thanks so much for having us. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's fantastic. Great, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.